From Lewis Field on the campus of Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Tulsa Cable Sports presents the best in high school football. It's the 2A state championship between the Tulsa Cascia Hall Commandos, undefeated through 14 games, against the Okemah Panthers, who have just one loss in 14 games, and that loss to these same Commandos 14-0. Hello again, Don King along with J.V. Haney. Channel 8's Jack Bunn's unavailable for the game today. We hope you're set and ready for this 2A final. Coach Haney, you've taken coach teams into finals in basketball. What's it like? How do you keep your kids loose?
You know, the thing that you have to look at, Don, a contest like this is that the Cascia Hall Commandos have beaten Okemah. The third game of the season, they shut them out 14-0. Naturally, I think they would like to have played maybe Wynnewood or someone else. But on the other hand, as a coach, you have to convince your kids, hey, we beat them once. We convincingly beat them once, 14-0. We can do it again. And if you make one big play in athletics, you can make it again and again. If you beat a team once, you can beat them again. But yet, if you look at it psychologically, it may turn to the balance of Okemah. But knowing Tom Stockton and his staff, they'll be ready and they'll try to prove that we are better than Okemah.
We have two good matchups. The quarterbacks, John Peters for Cascia Hall, Tony Lee for Okemah. They are very similar in their styles. And two outstanding running backs. For the Cascia Hall Commandos, number 33, junior Kenny Gunn, 1,675 yards, and even though he didn't score a touchdown last week, has 30 touchdowns on the season. For the Okemah Panthers, it is senior Sean Cole, number 14. He too in the 1,700-yard mark and has 32 touchdowns on the 1989 campaign. Coach Haney is now standing by with another fine coach, Tom Stockton of the Cascia Hall Commandos.
Thanks, Don. Visiting with Tom Stockton, the head coach of the Cascia Hall Commandos, before we get ready to tip off here, or kick off, maybe I should say, Tom, for the state championship in Class 2A. I know when you start the season, you always think about state championships, but at what point in time in the season did you feel like that you had the team that could be here in Stillwater at Lewis Field this afternoon fighting it out for the title?
Oh, JV, you know, possibly when we beat Haskell 41-0 on a Thursday night, and you know, when we beat Adair, we started thinking, hey, this team could go to the finals, and you know, but like you said, we thought about it all year, but after those two games, we really thought it was a possibility.
Playing Okemah here this afternoon, the Panthers, you have defeated them once 14-0 earlier in the season, developed quite a friendship with Johnny Bohannon, and your feeling about playing someone that really is a friend of yours?
Oh, you know, it's not going to make much difference today. Possibly a week from now, I'll be able to step back and either be glad that I won it, or you know, glad that he won it. Right now, he's just another person that I've got to go against. It is nice knowing that one of us is going to be a state champion.
When you take a look at both ball clubs, there's some great matchups. The matchup at quarterback and the matchup at running back. Maybe some comments on them.
Oh, yeah, I think the quarterbacks are very similar. John Peters has really come onto his own this year, and I know their quarterback, Lee, has done a great job. They both hit the big plays, and they both don't create very many turnovers. And the running back situation, I think, are the two best running backs in eastern Oklahoma in 2A. You know, for sure, Sean Cole's just an outstanding young man, runs hard, slips a lot of tackles, and Kenny Gunn's just been Mr. Excitement for us. You know, they both have over 30 touchdowns and 1,700 yards rushing, so it should be quite a matchup.
Tom, best of luck in the state championship finals.
Thank you, JV.
Tom Stockton, the head coach of Cascia Hall, as we get ready to kick off here at Lewis Field for the state title. Now let's go back to Don King.
Here come the Commandos onto Lewis Field here in Stillwater on the campus of OSU. The Commandos 14-0 on the season as they get ready for this 2A final between the Commandos and the Okemah Panthers. Let's take a look at how both schools got here. First with the Panthers and their 13-1 record. They opened the season, as you see, with a win over Henrietta, and then the Cascia Hall lost the third week of the season before opening up 37-7 win over Little Axe in their district opener. In the playoffs, they were impressive, beating Stigler, Wyandotte, Haskell, who is a very fine team, and last week, their most impressive win of the season, traveling to Wynnewood and beating the two-time defending state champions 14-13. For the Cascia Hall Commandos, you see their undefeated schedule, and they have been a powerhouse. They opened up their district season against Metro 29-0. Look at the shutouts. They had 5 shutouts in a row. And in the playoffs, Claremore Sequoia was handled. Wilburton was a fine team and was handled. They shut out Adair 60-0. And last week, we hope you saw that game on Tulsa Cable, beating the Davis Wolves 20-7.
Visiting with Johnny Bohannon, the head coach of the Okemah Panthers prior to the state championship game. And Johnny, last year you went to the semifinals with the Panthers, losing to Stillwater. So in essence, your kids have been to the point where they could look at the state title. That's an advantage, I think, as a coach. How have you felt about it with your team this year?
Well, I tell you, it can be an advantage of being in the pressure games and pressure situations, but Tom has done an outstanding job with his kids. If they get ready to play, it doesn't make any difference what type of ball game it is. But, you know, you really don't know how close you are until you can look back at how close you were, and then you can see what it means to you. And our kids have been able to do that, and it's enabled them to play tremendously well the last 2 weeks.
Johnny, taking a look at the Panthers, obviously a very good ball club, 13-1. Give our audience some of the people that we can watch, some of your skilled people that's going to really prove the difference in today's ball game.
Well, I tell you, our quarterback, Tony Lee, he's done an outstanding job. Last week, he played the best ball game of his career, and we're looking for big things from him today, along with Sean Coe, who has rushed for almost 1,800 yards this year, and he's our big play man. If we need to break one, he's the man to do it. Also, Brian Orr and Kevin Brett, our linebackers, have done an outstanding job all year. Extremely hard hitters, and they run to the football well. We're very proud of them. Along with Trent Harrelson, our tight end. If we need a big catch, he's the man to do it for us. He's got some height. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Punts the football well. He's a big play for us, big play man for us too.
Johnny, best of luck and looking forward to a great contest.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Johnny Bohannon, the head coach of the Okemah Panthers. Now let's go back upstairs to Don King.
The 2A final between the Commandos and the Panthers getting ready. Cascia Hall will kick off to start the game, and this championship game is being brought to you by Arby's Roast Beef Restaurants, by Citgo Petroleum, by Eastern Oklahoma Orthopedic Center, by Tulsa Cable Television, and by the Williams Companies. When we come back, we'll have the opening kickoff between the Panthers and the Commandos on Tulsa Cable Sports. Don King, J.B. Haney. We get set from Lewis Field. Here's the kickoff. We're underway for the 2A final from Brendan Heatherman. It's taken short at the 15, picked up at the 19, and dropped immediately at the 24-yard line. On the return, number 35 for the Okemah Panthers is Randy Graham, one of the starting fullbacks. And let's take a look at the Cascia Hall starting defense. And it's not bad. Just giving up about 4 points a game, Coach.
When you take a look at it coming into the playoffs, both teams in the playoffs have only allowed 3 touchdowns. So not only good offense, but good defense.
1st and 10. We start from the 25-yard line. Actually, the 24, let's say. 1st and 10 from the 24. Up the middle is Graham, the fullback, and he gets about 5 up close to the 30-yard line. Aaron Cato, number 60, appears to be one of the stoppers on the play.
One of the things Coach Tockton was worried about in playing the Okemah Panthers on the second time was their grinding power out of the wing T formation that they run offensively, Don. And he thinks that Johnny Bohannon is very content just to pick up 3, pick up 4, pick up 5, and not too eager to throw the ball, but yet with the quarterback Tony Lee, he is capable of going deep as well as the shallow pass.
Lee is the quarterback, number 11. Graham, 35. Is one of the running backs. Cole, I don't see him in there. Yeah, there he is, 14, and he's stopped behind the line. Tony Hutton, number 71, with the big second down play. They'll mark it at the line of scrimmage, and that's being rather lenient for the Okemah Panthers. No gain on the play, makes it 3rd down and 5.
Yeah, when you look at Tony Hutton, the big tackle in there, he's really come along the second half of the season for his sophomore. Matter of fact, he was Tulsa Tribune Defensive Player of the Week 3 weeks ago, so a lot of progress by the big sophomore.
3rd and 5. Will they pass or run? Lee looks to pass. Gets pressured out of the pocket. Unloads deep. Man there. Intercepted at the 35. Kenny Gunn to midfield. Big play and out of bounds at the Okemah 40-yard line.
And that's one of the things that you have to say about the Cascia Hall Commandos. They do have excellent speed, excellent quickness, and they read well in the defensive secondary. So they're going to be very difficult to throw deep on. I think that was evidence right there by Gunn's move.
Cascia Hall, Coach, that's their 15th turnover they've forced now in the last 3 games. That's pretty decent.
You know, when you take a look at the defensive line of the Commandos, not only do they pursue, but they contain well.
We'll take a look at their offense after this play. Quarterback Peters pitches to Gunn. 35, 30, first down. And look at the black shirts tackle him. A gain of about 13 down to the 27-yard line.
One of the traits that the Panthers have is their gang tackling, and there was a good illustration there. The pursuit was just great, but you have to respect the running of Kenny Gunn, taking that option pitch. And, you know, when you take a look at John Peters, he runs, Don, the triple option out of the wishbone about as well as you're going to find a high school quarterback.
And, you know, he replaced an all-state quarterback, Lamar Guillory. There's Tom Stockton. What a job he has done in turning this program around. First down from the 27. Peters goes up top. Caught and dropped at the 26-yard line by Craig Hicks. And on the catch is Mark Mendoza. It's nice to see him playing after he was injured last week.
You know, there was a time last week when they were playing Davis that it may appear that Mark Mendoza wouldn't be in today's ball game. But when you're playing for the state title, you're playing for the gold ball, I don't think you can keep him out of there unless it was a compound fracture.
Gain of 1 makes it 2nd down and 9 for the Commandos, who got the first break of the game on an interception. This is Gunn. He breaks into the secondary. He's dangerous to the 10. Touchdown, Cascia Hall. And the Commandos strike first, and they use a turnover to do so.
And great blocking in there on the left side of the line for the Commandos. And once Gunn gets past the line of scrimmage, Don, he really has that acceleration. He runs with his knees high, and he almost just floats. And it was obvious then that he was going to be gone. They couldn't catch him.
He's just a junior.
Yes. Coach Stockton has them stockpiled, doesn't he? He has some great young players in there.
Peters to hold, and Mendoza to kick the extra point. And it is good. No good. No good. Off to the right. And it has been Okemah this season that has had trouble kicking extra points, but here's Cascia Hall missing the first extra point after the first touchdown. And we're taking a break with 9.5 minutes to go. First quarter, and the Commandos strike first. Mendoza, who kicks extra points, gives the ball and tee to Brendan Heatherman, last week's player of the game on Tulsa Cable, and he kicks off. And no, we have not started. Cascia just, and this one goes out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Number 24, Colby Hicks, couldn't handle the kickoff, and Okemah down 6-0 early, starts in a hole.
Great field positioning here for Cascia Hall, and that was kind of an ill-advised attempt there on Colby Hicks. I think what he was doing, he was looking up, and so many times, you like in baseball, you can't throw it until you catch it, and you can't run the football until you bring it in and gather it in your arms.
Once again, the quarterback is Lee, number 11. 24 and 25 are the running backs. Colby and Craig Hicks, their brothers. And on the wing is Sean Cole, number 14. Now they wing the gentleman to the right and bring Cole in. And Cole gets the ball across the 10, up to the 13-yard line for about 6 yards. And on the stop, it appeared to be 22, one of the players around the ball. That's Joey Goodwin from the defensive end position.
Sean Cole showed you there that he has the power to run. He's got real strong legs. He follows his blockers well, and I always get a kick out of watching Tony Lee here out of that wing T offense. I think he's kind of a magician with the ball. You have to follow him real closely.
Sean Cole is an outstanding running back. This year, 1,769 yards. He gets the pitch here, gets hit head on, a flag down, and Cole is down after Heatherman applies the leather at the 15-yard line. Gain of 2. It'll be 3rd and 2, but let's check the penalty from referee Eddie Moeller. And there's a good look at the senior Sean Cole for the Okemah Panthers.
Good form tackling in there, Brenda Heatherman. He just came up and exploded. He's only a 160-pounder, but he explodes in there like he weighs 210 pounds.
There's a look at the head coach of the Okemah Panthers, Johnny Bohannon, who is good friends with Tom Stockton. Now, you've coached in basketball final championship games. What's it like when you coach against a good friend of yours?
You know, that's one of the most difficult things to answer, but primarily in my situation, and most people I've talked to, Don, on that question is, you know, you really don't like to play against a person that you've coached or play against a person that you've coached with, because it hurts more to lose. It really hurts more to lose to someone like that. And then the reward of winning, it's kind of empty, kind of like kissing your sister when you win. So it's kind of a no-win situation when you're playing like that.
The Commandos take the penalty, moves it back to the 7-yard line, and we'll make it 2nd down and 10 from the original line of scrimmage for Tony Lee. Hands off straight up the middle. Craig Hicks gets the carry, and he's across the 10 to about the 11. Craig with 500 yards rushing this season. In fact, the Panthers have 3 players with over 500 yards rushing. And as I mentioned, Cole is their leader, 1,769 yards this season and 32 touchdowns.
You get great linebacking play out of both of these ball clubs in there. When you look over on the Okemah side, Brett and Orr do a great job, and then here with the Cascia Hall Commandos the same way.
Well, it's 3rd and 5. What's Tony Lee going to do? Draw play. Oh, and it's a first down for the Okemah Panthers. Draw play deep in their territory, and they hand off to Craig Hicks, and one of the co-captains, 5'10", 160 senior, rambles up to the 20-yard line, close to it, for the first down for Okemah.
Looked like that might have been a little larger gainer there had it not been for the quickness of Chris Cole, the linebacker in there, number 60, really reacted well.
Here is 50, the nose guard. Cato, the linebackers are outstanding for Cascia. Lee loses the ball, picks it up, and then is dropped by Goodwin in the secondary. And that's a big play inside the 15-yard line. And right now, it is Okemah that seems a little uptight right now, Coach.
It really does. You know, we go back and talk about some of the things that we said when you beat someone twice. Well, you've really proven to them that you are better than they are. And I think that's what's happening here in the early going. It's too early, really, to call anything. We're not going to make a projection, but the Cascia Hall Commandos are definitely fired up and obviously well prepared for today's game.
Cascia Hall trying to be only the 2nd private school in state history to win a state championship. The other being Bishop Kelly, and they did that in 1981, and Tom Stockton was an assistant at that time. And in fact, he took the Kelly Comets later as the head coach a few years later into the state finals, losing to Duncan.
So Tom Stockton is a veteran coach when it comes to state championship games, this being his 3rd to be in, so he knows what it's all about.
And that's going to help a little bit, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
2nd and 15 from the 14. 7:25 to go first quarter. Cascia leading 6-0. Sean Cole, not much there up to the 17-yard line. And right now the Cascia defense is doing exactly what they wanted to do, and that's stop Sean Cole.
And I think you can see the quickness there that Joey Goodwin along with Chris Clark displayed when they brought the ball over the left side of the offensive line. Both of them moving very, very quickly in there. And Cascia has a lot of quickness.
There is Goodwin, 22, plays tight end on the offensive side of the ball. Jimmy Brown, 59 at right tackle. Cato, nose guard. Hutton, left tackle. 3rd down and long, 3rd and 11. They give to Cole, and look at Heatherman come on. Wow, what a job by number 7, 160-pound defensive player. Defensive end, Brandon Heatherman.
And he read the play perfectly then. Of course, he didn't have to fight off a blocker. I think there must have been a missed blocking assignment on Heatherman, but he read it, strung it out, and made a great tackle.
Sean Cole, 4 carries for 9 yards after he loses a yard here, and it's 4th and a dozen from the 17-yard line. And back to punt is Trent Harrelson. Harrelson being scouted by KU. Back is Mendoza at midfield. Looks for a block, nothing doing, and he's dropped right there at the 49-yard line. He is, however, inside Okemah territory. We're midway first quarter. We're coming back as the 2A final continues from Lewis Field in Stillwater. 6 minutes to go, first quarter. Cascia with the ball, good territory at the 49-yard line of Okemah, and a 6-0 lead. And we'll see who this is. We have a flag down after a gain of 2. Heatherman the ball carrier, and we'll see what the penalty is about. There's a look at a graphic. Cascia Hall 100-77, now 183-6 in the first quarter against their opponents this year.
That's an indication that the kids really come to play, that the coaching staff hasn't prepared to play, and nothing can give you as much confidence as jumping out and getting a lead and then maintaining it. And, you know, this is kind of unusual penalty-wise. Both teams normally play pretty error-free, but I think, again, it's just a little nerves here on both sides in the early going of the game.
Penalty, a procedure moves it back just outside the 45-yard line, where it is 1st and 15. Up the middle they go. Look at Medina. And not much. He gets a couple. There's some of the fans here rooting on the Okemah Panthers. Medina gains 2 to the 48-yard line.
Just almost impossible to hold Steve Medina from not picking up some yardage, because he never goes down in the first wave of people who hit him. He just keeps struggling and for a few more feet.
2nd down 13 from the 48. Toss sweep to Kenny Gunn, gets a good block. However, the defensive work by 24. Colby Hicks fights off the block. And Kenny Gunn is going to be dropped after about a 2-yard gain down to the Okemah 46-yard line with 5:16 to go first quarter.
And another good picture there, that pursuing defense by the Okemah Panthers. They do a great job of laterally pursuing the football. And, you know, Kenny Gunn was trying to run in behind his blocker. He had one blocker out there, but just about 3 defenders came in, impossible to follow.
Down to the Okemah 47-yard line after a gain of 1, and Kenny Gunn is off to an outstanding start. 3 carries for 40 yards. Coming into this game, he is averaging over 10 yards a carry and 30 touchdowns. And he scored a touchdown on a 26-yard run a few minutes ago. Peters on 3rd and long. Airs it for Mendoza. Can he get there? No, at the Okemah 20-yard line. And so we'll have our first punting situation for the Cascia Hall Commandos. However, they are playing the field position game.
I think Mark Mendoza showed you then just how quickly he can get out there and how he can get open, because he certainly had Craig Hicks beaten had the ball been able to have been just a little underthrown rather than overthrown.
And Peters had plenty of time.
Yes.
The wind is not blowing much at all. It's no factor in this game, and what a beautiful day it is here in Stillwater and throughout Oklahoma after a wintry Thursday and Friday. But it is, these guys are leading the charm. We're all leading the charmed life to be sitting up here in this kind of weather after what we've gone through lately.
Yeah, yesterday I was thinking, oh, I hope those weathermen are right for once.
Well, Medina snaps it back. No, Medina punts. And not much of a kick. It hits at the 20 and out of bounds just inside the 20, and that was a problem that Cascia had last week, you'll remember, against Davis, was their bad snaps on the punts.
But still good field position for the Commandos, starting on about the 19-yard line. Okemah will. This could turn into a defensive battle, Don. I just was thinking there when Gunn broke loose and scored early that I don't think it's going to be an offensive battle. I think it's going to revert back and the defense will dominate before it's over.
4:29 to go, first quarter. Cascia leading 6-0, scoring the first time they got the ball. Sean Cole across the 20, and that's about all. Medina 48 and Chris Clark 60 lead the way. They're both linebackers, and they back the line very well, each averaging over a dozen tackles a game.
Cascia Hall filling the holes very quickly there. You know, as you watch it unfold here in the early going of the game, I think it's obvious how well both coaching staffs have prepared their kids for the game.
Okemah with a 2nd and 9 for the quarterback Tony Lee. Up the middle. Look out, it's a first down, and boy, they do that so well. As JB mentioned, he is a magician at quarterback, handing off the football, and it showed there with the handoff to Graham from the 20 up to the 32 for a dozen and a first down.
And the wing T offense there was so quick hitting. I mean, they can get you and get you quick. It seems like they're much closer to the line of scrimmage than other offenses.
Each team now with 2 first downs in this opening period. And 1st and 10 from the 32-yard line. Best field position for Okemah. And there is Sean Cole again. C-O-A-L-E, as he drives up past the 35-yard line for about 3.5, 4 yards.
One of the points that Tom Stockton made was that they're going to have to prevent the big plays. They can allow their defense to bend but not break, and Okemah likes to grind it out, so they just have to play and try to catch an opportunity when they can.
2nd and 6 from the 36. Second man through. Chris Clark hits him, but the running back still fights forward and falls to the 40-yard line, and that is 14, Sean Cole. And Cole is very close to a first down. It'll be about a yard shy, make it 3rd and 1.
Chris Clark having quite a day so far from that linebacking position. Seems like that he's on the football, in on the tackle on just about every play.
Sure does. One of the co-captains of this squad, 5'10", 160 linebacker Chris Clark, number 60. 3rd and 1 from the 40. First down run for the Panthers with 2:31 to go opening period. And it is 25, Craig Hicks. Up to the 44-yard line, and the Okemah Panthers now start to make some noise as their club is now grinding it out from the 19 up to the 44-yard line.
Making the tackle on the last play.
Another point that Coach Stockton made prior to the game that I thought was very apropos. He said that the Panthers play very physical, and the Commandos had to return that same physical play.
First and 10 from the 44-yard line. They keep it on the ground. Graham, 35, not much that time. And Brendan Heatherman, along with Cato, 50, the nose guard. And they deny the running back, Randy Graham, of not much, just a yard to the 45.
And what a consistent job number 50 Aaron Cato does for the Commandos in there. He's a 4-year starter, named to the Tulsa Tribune All-Metro team last year, plays both offense and defense, and just one super football player there for the Commandos.
5'10", 190, but he looks bigger than that if you stand up next to him. He looks bigger than what they have him listed. 2nd and 9 from the 45. Sean Cole, second man through on the misdirection play, and he gets a yard, and that's about it. Or that is 24, excuse me. Colby Hicks, 5'10", 150 senior.
And again, you see number 60, Chris Clark, right in there on the tackle, as he is, as you mentioned, I think, Don, the leading tackler on the Commando team, averaging 13, 14 per game. Real quick linebacker, reads the football well.
And that was one of the worries of Tom Stockton, was these misdirection plays, and they've handled it pretty well. 3rd and 8 from the 46-yard line. A wing on each side of the line of scrimmage. They give to Graham. He gets hit by Clark. Clark drives him back, and Okemah is denied of the 50-yard line and a first down. He'll be just shy of the midfield stripe. It will be 4th down and 4, and the Panthers will have to punt the football away, and dropping back deep is the sure-handed Mark Mendoza.
And once again, you see Tony Hutton, the big sophomore tackle, fighting off a block and initiating the first contact that led to just a gang tackle in there by the Commandos.
Harrelson back to punt. Harrelson missed a couple of games with a knee injury. There he is, number 85. He is being scouted by Glenn Mason at Kansas as a punter, and his first punt of the game was 33 yards. Here he punts from midfield. Nice high kick. Mendoza, fair catch at the 20, and has it at the 20-yard line with 13 seconds to go, opening period. So the Commandos have the ball at the 20 and leading 6-0. John Peters, the quarterback. Medina, the fullback. The halfbacks are 7, Heatherman, and 33, Gunn. Gunn, the carry across the 20. Gets stood up and dropped after he gains about 3 yards. Nice work on the defensive front for Okemah, and that will take care of the opening period from Lewis Field in Stillwater on the campus of Oklahoma State. It's the 2A championship final, and Cascia Hall leads Okemah 6-0. You're watching the 2A final on Tulsa Cable, who urges you to be drug-free. Welcome back to Lewis Field. Don King along with J.B. Haney. Unfortunately, Channel 8's Jack Bunn's unable to join us for this 2A final. And a look at the first half stats, Coach. Really not much to talk about. Not much passing in this first quarter. Okemah leads in total yards, 52-47. But Okemah has not been able to grind anything out. And there is Steve Medina for a first down up to the 32-yard line. Gain of 9 for the little fullback.
And he just won't be denied there. He's just going to fight it out there to try to gain every conceivable yard he can get. And, you know, right now, we're just getting ready to say before Medina made the run there, Don, that we might have the opportunity to see what the defense can do here for Okemah when they have an opportunity to keep them back and gain a little better field position. But suddenly Medina's run, and they're going to be right back out around midfield and regain that balance of midfield territory.
There's a look at the quarterback, and keep in mind, Peters is just a junior. He and Gunn will both be back for Cascia next year, and wisely, Peters can handle the snap from the center, Jim Brown, and quickly falls on it. And in effect, no gain on the play, makes it 2nd down and 10. Peters, you know, you look at wishbone quarterbacks, JB, and you don't think they can pass the ball very much, but Peters hitting 64% of his passes, has thrown only 3 interceptions all year, and has 15 touchdown passes. That's pretty impressive.
Really, and a great receiver in Mark Mendoza, which helps him with his stats.
Good point. 2nd and 10 from the 32-yard line. Peters hands off to Medina, and he drives up to the 35 for 3. On the stop, number 71, Wade Harrelson, 6'2", 190, sophomore defensive tackle, and it'll be 3rd down and about 7.
One of the things that makes the Commando offense so well with Peters there at the throttle is the fact that they have the triple option out of the bone constantly But as you said, he's not afraid to throw it. It was evident in the first series there on a first down. Peters will throw the ball whenever he thinks the defense gives him the opportunity to do so, both shallow and long. So it really gives them a double threat.
3rd down and a long 7. Peters, play action pass, looks, has to run, and gets up to the 39-yard line. He's steer wrestled down just shy of the 39. You know, in the first meeting between these two schools in the 3rd week of the season, Peters was called on to pass only once and had to scramble that time, and then did not have officially a pass in the entire ball game.
And that shows you also, going back to those stats on the first game, first down wise, Okemah was 17-9, but yet could not get on the scoreboard.
Medina back to punt. Here's first punt at 28 yards. This is a nice kick, taken at the 30-yard line by Cole, who has a punt return for a touchdown, and he gets about 3 yards up to the 33-yard line. Leading the way, who else but number 7, Brendan Heatherman.
And also number 60, Chris Clark, right in there on that tackle again. And those two young defensive players are all over the field.
They are.
Chris Clark and
31-yard punt, and Cole returns at 3 yards up to the 33, where the Okemah Panthers have their first possession of the second period, trailing 6-0. 9:40 to go before halftime. In the 2A final. And Lee, play action. He's going to run. Has some room. 35-yard line. Nice open field tackle by Heatherman. Up to the 38. That's a 5-yard advance for Tony Lee, the quarterback. 5'9", 160 senior.
You can never emphasize fundamentals enough, but as you watch the Cascia Hall Commandos, well coached, well drilled, and they execute fundamentals. And that was a great open field tackle in there by Heatherman.
They run the wing T offense. And when we talked to Tom Stockton earlier in the week, he said, yeah, they run the Bristow wing T. Bristow and Bill Scott, well known for that wing T offense. Second man through, slides through up to the 45-yard line, and that's a first down for the Panthers and Sean Cole, and that's his best run of the game from the 38 to the 45 for 7 yards.
Heatherman and Clark again on the tackle. When you mentioned the wing T and you mentioned Bill Scott, it's always funny because Bill Scott is one of Tom Stockton's heroes. He says he's my kind of unannounced mentor.
Is that right?
Yeah, he really appreciates Bill Scott's coaching ability.
First down from the 45-yard line. Okemah starting to show something, and Graham inside Cascia territory for the first time in the game, and the big fullback rips one down to the Cascia 48-yard line. That's 25 instead of Graham. That's Craig Hicks. Craig Hicks 25 and Graham 45 alternate at fullback, and that's a run of 7 and makes it 2nd down and 3, and the Panthers inside Cascia territory for the first time.
And some excellent blocking going on in there at the left side of the Panther line. Maybe they feel they found a weakness.
Second short, second man through, misdirection, and nothing doing that time. 44, Jake Naylor out of his defensive end helps lead the way, and no gain on the play makes it 3rd down and 3. Big play coming up for the Okemah offense.
Some pretty slick ball handling in there that time by Tony Lee, the quarterback.
Cole in the game, 9 carries, 25 yards. So he has been held pretty much in check, but he's a home run type of runner and can strike from any distance at any time. 3rd and 3 from the Cascia 48-yard line. Full house backfield. Long snap, long count. Here's the snap. And that's close to a first down, and I think Sean Cole has it. Peters, number 10, makes the tackle along with Jim Brown, 59, but not before Cole drives close to the 44-yard line, and that should be enough for a first down, and it is according to Eddie Moeller.
Well, one of the strengths of the Panthers is their ability just to grind it out 3, 5, 6 yards at a time and use up the clock. But the thing of it is, when you're behind, then it becomes a problem as the game progresses.
Cascia's defense has been on the field much more than their offense in this first half, but Cascia leading 6-0. And that time, the fullback almost broke loose, and that is, again, 25, Craig Hicks. So he gets about 5 yards just inside the 40.
Bend but not break was what Tom Stockton was telling his Cascia Hall defensive team all week, that he knew that they would be able to allow a lot of yardage, but nevertheless trying not to break, not to allow the big play in the score.
2nd and 6 from the Cascia 40-yard line. In the 2A final, Cascia leading 6-0. First man through. Again, it's Craig Hicks, and he's dropped at the 35-yard line by 60 Chris Clark, and he'll be about a yard short of the first down, bringing up 3rd and about 1.
Suddenly Craig Hicks is kind of coming to the front there, maybe overshadowing Sean Cole a little bit. Could be setting him up also.
Hicks' last 3 carries for a net of 16 yards, so he indeed is taking care of business. And Tom Stockton says, let's call a timeout here and talk about it. With 6:20 to go, midway in the 2nd period, the Commandos leading 6-0, but Okemah with their first legitimate threat of the game. Welcome back to Lewis Field. 6-0, and Okemah 3rd and 1 at the Cascia 35-yard line. They're on the move. Not that time. D is stopped. 25 Craig Hicks, and John Peters likes it, as well as the Cascia fans on the far side of Lewis Field. It'll be 4th and a yard.
Decision time early. Do you want to try to go for it, or do you want to try to get the ball out of bounds, say inside the 10?
Well, I go for it myself, and they are. At the Cascia 35-yard line, 4th and a half a yard. Quarterback sneak maybe? No. Give the second man through. Sean Cole. It's going to be close. Apparently, according to the spot, he's got the first down.
Great play in there once again by number 60, Chris Clark. He really kind of led the charge in there.
Sean Cole. Brought down by.
Looks like it's a first down, Don, by about a football.
And for Okemah, that will be their 6th first down, even though Eddie Moeller wants to measure. However, it appears from here they have it, and that gives us time to remind you that it's not far away from high school hoops on Tulsa Cable TV 3. Just a couple of weeks away, we'll have this same Cascia Hall program going up against Bristow on December 22nd, replayed December 23rd and 24th. So Christmas weekend, high school hoops starts here on TV3. I know you're getting ready for that.
Hey, I'm ready, Don, and of course that game's going to be filmed as a preliminary to the Tulsa Fast Breakers from Expo Square Pavilion, and should be a great opening for Tulsa Cable 3 high school basketball from the pavilion.
Cascia Hall and their head coach David McBride, and Bristow with maybe their best basketball team they've had in a long time.
I tell you, when you take a look at the two coaches, David McBride, you may see him here on the telecast. He's in the red shirt up and down the sideline over there with Coach Tom Stockton and David Pennington from Bristow. 2 good young coaches. They'll bring 2 good ball clubs into the pavilion. It's going to be an exciting basketball season. There's some good players on the schedule this year, Don.
There is Tom Stockton, whose brother Kelly played at Cascia Hall. And when Kelly played for the Commandos, Tom Stockton used to come out on Friday nights and retrieve the kicking tees. So he grew up watching Cascia Hall football, and there's the scoreboard that tells the story. 5:45 to go before halftime, and the Commandos leading 6-0. They have not been behind all season, en route to a 14-0 record. And Okemah 13-1, and their only loss, of course, to Cascia Hall in the 3rd week of the season. That was a 14-0 verdict for the Cascia Hall, who finished the season ranked 3rd in the state according to AP. Preseason ranking at number 10. Okemah finished the AP season ranked number 6. 1st and 10 from the Cascia 34-yard line for Tony Lee at quarterback. Sean Cole, 14. Craig Hicks, 25. This is Hicks. No, they fake, and Lee keeps, and not much doing. There is Clark at number 60. Hutton, 71. Leading the way, and a gain from the 34 down to the 32 and a half. A gain of 2, we'll say, for Tony Lee.
And Tony Lee kind of faked everyone out that time except the defense for Cascia Hall.
Chris Clark works on his helmet. Talking to Chris's mom before the game, she says that a couple of small colleges in Missouri and Kansas are looking at Chris as a linebacker, and there's the Cascia Pep Band, and Cascia brought over quite a crowd today.
That's a great support there by the Cascia Hall Commandos, the people in Tulsa coming out to watch them attempt to win their first state championship in the history of the school.
Founded after St. Rita of Cascia, 1926. Colby Hicks. And Colby Hicks from the 32 to about the 29-yard line. Colby Hicks 24, Craig Hicks 25 are twins. A gain of 3 down to the 29 instead of the 24. Gain of 3 makes it 3rd down and 5. And Okemah, which had trouble on 3rd down conversions in the first quarter, lately have been able to convert 3rd and short situations, and here they have an interesting call at 3rd and 5.
And Brock Allen that time knifing through there kind of slowed the runner down and allowed the gain to be held to a minimum.
Will they go with Cole or will they put it up? They put it up. Play action. He's pressured. He throws. Incomplete. Right through the hands, I think, of Mendoza. Yeah, Mark Mendoza, who leads the club in interceptions with a dozen, had that one go right through his hands. Had he not gotten a hand on it, there was a player for Okemah behind him that might have been able to haul that one in.
That's true, and you know, Mark feels bad about that. It would have taken a great catch. He went up just about as high as he could jump trying to get his hands on it, but you know, a good receiver feels like he should catch everything he gets his hands on.
So Trent Harrelson came in as if to punt, but he goes out as a wide receiver, and they're going for it on 4th and 5 from the Cascia 29-yard line. Wide receiver each side. Lee pump fakes, throws. Intercepted by Kenny Gunn and up to the 19-yard line.
And again, that great secondary defense in there by Cascia Hall. You know, you always look back, they've been better off if he could have just knocked it down, but when you get your hands on the football, he thought he could maybe go all the way, and as a result, he actually lost about 9 yards on the interception, but you've got to catch everyone you can get a hold of, and a good defensive job in there by Kenny Gunn.
4:20 to go before halftime, and that is a big play. Mark it down on 4th and 5. Tony Lee now 0 for 3 and has had 2 of those 3 intercepted. I did not see a flag, but apparently a flag down on the play, and a personal foul, it appears, against Okemah. And boy, here's where Okemah makes a big mistake, JV, because they at least, even though they turn the ball over, Cascia with not great field position, they fumble the ball. Okemah gets it back and can punch it in before halftime, but here they let Cascia out of their own back door.
They really let them out of an opportunity to keep them in the hole here before half and maybe tie the ball game up.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. A flag down again. And the flag in the Cascia backfield, so it will probably go against the Commandos. Eddie Moeller makes the call. So wipe that play out, and we've got another penalty. Cascia Hall, as I mentioned, was founded in 1926, the Order of St. Augustine. It was a Catholic school, still is a Catholic school for students of all faiths. Cascia offers a variety of courses, not only in religion, but as a regular part of their curriculum, and requires attendance at daily chapel services. It's a boys' boarding school, you might remember, until 1986. In that year, the school ceased to take boarders, added a middle school, and became co-educational in 1986. Toss sweep to Kenny Gunn. Ooh, he's upended at the 30-yard line. Nice job by number 71, Wade Harrelson.
And again, we have flags at the line of scrimmage and in the Cascia Hall backfield.
Gain of a pair for Kenny Gunn, who has not touched the ball offensively in this second quarter, but has 2 interceptions and has carried the ball 4 times for 43 yards, including a 26-yard touchdown run for our game's only score, and that came with 9.5 minutes to go in the first period, and that was after Kenny Gunn intercepted the first pass of the game.
The success of both of these coaches is obvious with Okemah and Johnny Bohannon coming in with a 24-4 record in his second year as the head coach of Okemah, and Tom Stockton, 4th year, he's 38-9. 2 pretty good programs.
Cascia 26-1 the last 2 years. 2nd and 13 for John Peters, who drops back, unloads out in the flat for Mendoza. Can't get by the defensive back and is dropped at the 40-yard line. Nice work by Mendoza, who is so sure-handed and quite an athlete here at Cascia Hall.
You can just see confidence come out there when Peters drops back and spots Mendoza, because he knows that if he gets it in the area, that Mark will grab it, and that was obvious that time, and a good gain for the Commandos.
Gain of 8 makes it 3rd and 5 from the 40 with 3:15 to go, and the clock continues to run down before halftime.
Big defensive play coming up here for the Panthers. First and 10 could almost run out the clock at the half for the Commandos.
Peters on the option to Heatherman, who can throw. He's the backup quarterback. Unloads, it's short. Mendoza comes back and makes the catch at the 35 and out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Is that confidence or is that confidence? You throw it, Mark Mendoza will come back and get the ball, set it up. What a tremendous play in there by Mendoza. About 5 yards downfield, and the football was able to make a little curl pattern, come back and get between the two defensive players, catch the football, still advanced up. Just a great play in there.
From the Cascia 40 to the Okemah 30, and that's good for 30 yards. Nothing new from Mendoza, Coach. He averages 23 yards a catch.
And you can see why he was so disgusted on that interception a while ago.
Big play for the Commandos. 1st and 10 at the Okemah 30, and they've got time. 2:50 left before the second period comes to a close. That's got to be Medina, the fullback.
I couldn't see his number, but the way he was churning, that had to be Steve Medina in there.
His brother, an assistant coach at Cascia Hall, Joy, who played a few years at Villanova and is the strength coach, and as you mentioned, the weight program, and we mentioned it last week, that's one of the assets of this Cascia Hall program.
Great academic school, and the student athletes are good accommodations. And you talk about Joy Medina, teaches chemistry, so they've got a lot of brain power going.
2nd and 7. Kenny Gunn. Look at that move. Oh, he is a thoroughbred down to the Panther 21-yard line.
Kenny Gunn has that unique ability of realizing that those blockers are out there to help him, and he utilizes them to he doesn't break out on his own trying to zero in on people and run over them. He uses those blockers to the fullest extent.
It's 3rd and about a foot. 3rd and a foot for Kenny Gunn and the Commandos.
I think you're right, Don. I think they're smelling pay dirt here before half.
Peters with the sneak and a 1st down to the 16. They'll stop the clock to move the chains with 1:39 to go before halftime. The Commandos, who have never trailed in a game this season, they are 14-0. They were 13-1. Or excuse me, 12-1 last year, and that's the guy responsible, Tom Stockton, in his 4th year.
And what a great psychological advantage it would be to go in 2 touchdowns ahead at halftime in the championship finals.
Will he pass here? 1st down? Nope. Heatherman. Heatherman has not carried the ball a lot in this game. Gets a couple inside the 15 to the 14, and the clock runs down to 1:15.
Both teams use that misdirection type play that more or less keeps the defense honest. A lot of similarity, even though they run out of different offenses, but I think philosophical, they're both coaches are very similar.
And both coaches admitted before the game, neither team's going to surprise the other team.
No.
They know a lot about each other. 2nd and 8. Peters throws out in the flat. Mendoza with a great catch and dropped immediately at the 10-yard line. Now Cascia has a pair of timeouts left, and they call one here with 48 seconds to go, and they'll face 3rd down and 4 at the Okemah 10-yard line.
Kobe Hicks playing off just a little bit farther off Mendoza maybe than he should over there, but he has to do that out of respect, but makes it very difficult to come up and intercept a pass that was thrown like Peters can throw it to Mendoza about 8 yards out and just on a sideline pattern.
3rd and 4 from the Okemah 10. They need to get to the 6 for a 1st down. They need to get 10 for a touch with 48 seconds to go before halftime. Toss sweep. Kenny Gunn to the 5 and out of bounds wisely as he steps into the snow. It's kind of fun to see snow at a football game in Oklahoma for a change.
Runs over a youngster over on the sideline, knocks him down in the snow, but he's having a good time getting the ball out of bounds. A good play there by Kenny Gunn, stopping the clock, giving them the opportunity maybe to get in before the half.
Yeah, and it is a 1st down. He knew exactly where the 1st down marker was and headed right for it. Gain from the 10 to the 5. And it is 1st and goal from the Okemah 5-yard line, and the Panther defense is tough. They need to hold Cascia out. Peters rolls out, has to throw on the run and throws it away, incomplete. Pressure put on by 44, Brian Orr, 6'2", 210 senior linebacker. You see Orr on the left of your screen. We talked about Cascia's linebackers, Medina and Clark. Okemah has a pair of fine linebackers, Kevin Britt, 58, and Brian Orr, 44.
Smart play in there that time by Peters, stopping the clock, and It looked like from here, of course, we're so high up, but it really looked like Mark Mendoza could have come back and got the ball there. He was momentarily open, but Peters not taking any chance at this point.
A lot of times when they get in this situation, they'll look for the tight end, Jake Naylor. Goodwin, however, is at tight end now. Draw play. Kenny Gunn slices through. Touchdown, Cascia Hall with 34 seconds to go. What blocking by the offensive line. And Kenny Gunn with his 32nd touchdown of the year.
What a great play in there, but Gunn looked like it was kind of a delayed handoff, almost like a draw play, but once Kenny Gunn gets it, he accelerates and was able just to elongate himself out and get the football over the plane of the goal line and pick up the score.
Now, do you go for 2 or kick for 1?
Oh, I tell you what, on something like this, Don, I think they're going to think about it. And the fact that with the kicker, if he's missing the first one in there, I think Tom Stockton will go for 2.
Well, indeed, he did have a timeout to spare with 34 seconds to go, and he will call a timeout and talk about it. Now then, JV, you've got a 14-0. Let's say you got a 12-0 lead going into halftime. You've beaten this team once by a similar score. What do you tell your kids at halftime?
Well, here's where you really get down to the serious nitty-gritty of coaching and understanding what's happening, that they've got 2 quarters of football left. And you always try to tell your people that if it took us 2 quarters to get 2, then they can also get 2 in 2 quarters. So it's just a new ball game. You've got to go back out there and play each quarter as it comes, but re-emphasizing, Don, the fact that if they do go off with a 12 or 14-point lead at halftime, that's what you beat them before, and that you should be able to beat them the second half as bad as you did the first half.
It appears they're going to go for the 2-point conversion.
You know, if you go for 1 in this situation, then if they were to catch up, talking about Okemah, then the decision would be on Johnny Bohannon. But I think he is just going to line up and go for 2 and try to make it 14-0.
Peters, the quarterback. Toss sweep. Heatherman, he's in untouched. Brandon Heatherman with an outstanding block from number 51 in the flank. That was Billy Allred. And just like that, with 34 seconds before halftime, the Cascia Hall Commandos on top 14-0. And they've done it with a couple of Kenny Gunn interceptions. And what a masterful drive that was. 71 yards in 13 plays, and helped out by a 15-yard personal foul penalty against Okemah.
Kind of a surprise play on that 2-point. That would have been one play I would not have been looking for, and I don't think the Panthers were looking for it either. A great pitch in there by Peters and a great run in there by Heatherman.
And for most of these players, Coach, this will be their final high school football game. What's that like for a kid to be able to play in the state championship game, his last game of his high school career?
You know, a lot of fans don't realize it, but one of the saddest moments in a coach's life is at the end of the season in his sport, the last game you play, knowing that you're not going to be around those seniors again. It's really sad. It's very emotional.
Short kick up to the 38-yard line for the Okemah Panthers, who will have a couple of plays left.
Of course, on the other side of the coin, if you're 0-10, why, you don't want to see him again.
You're waving goodbye to him as they head out the door.
No, that's not the case very often. Most of the time, it doesn't make any difference. Those kids, you know, they give you so much, and you expect so much out of them, and it's very sad when you have to leave them. Even though you don't have a good season, it's still sad.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line for Okemah. 18 seconds, clock running, and Tony Lee, who's been intercepted twice in just 3 passes, rolls out the pass, and Tony Hutton brings him to the turf along with Aaron Cato, number 50, at the 34-yard line, and that's a loss of 4. Makes it 2nd down, and Okemah will indeed let the clock run out. And our first half has commenced from Lewis Field in Stillwater. And the 3rd-ranked Cascia Hall Commandos are 24 minutes away from a 2A state championship. When we come back, J.B. Haney will have a halftime interview for you as high school football continues on TV3, who urges you to be drug-free. Welcome back to Lewis Field. Don King along with J.B. Haney on Tulsa Cable. As the Commandos lead 14-0, Kenny Gunn intercepting a pass early in the game, and then 3 plays later running in from 26 yards out. The extra point no good. Our first quarter scoring ending with Cascia leading 6-0. Kenny Gunn then intercepted a pass inside his own 20-yard line. The only real threat Okemah had as they drove from the 33 to the Cascia 29. Gunn intercepted the pass, returned it up to the 19, and then Cascia went 71 yards in 13 plays. Gunn scoring the second touchdown of the game. Brendan Heatherman scoring the 2-point conversion, and that's where we are as we start the third quarter, 14-0. And a look at the stats, and really it's pretty even. The only stat that you don't see on the board, Okemah 15 minutes time of possession to Cascia Hall's 9 minutes.
Well, most of the time that'll be an advantage to the team that can control it, but the fact is that the way that Kenny Gunn has really carried the ball in there, Don, and gotten the lead for Cascia Hall, while Cassia's defense has been able to do exactly what Tom Stockton wanted, not break, bend a little bit, and when they do, with the type of offense out of that wing tee that Okemah runs, they are going to have more possession. So in this particular ball game, it won't be that important.
There's Johnny Bohannon, the head coach in his second year. What a job he's done. He took the Panthers to the state semifinals last year, finished 11-3, losing to the Nowata Ironmen, and of course Nowata last year knocked out Cascia Hall in the state quarterfinals, and then Nowata went on to the state semis and beat out this Okemah team. And then Nowata went to the state finals last year and lost to Wynnewood, who won their second straight state championship. However, last week, in quest of their third straight title, they were knocked off by this Okemah team, 14-13. Getting ready to kick off for the Panthers is number 26, 5'7", 155 junior. One of their two kickers on the team is Brian Duke. And since Cascia won the toss to start the game deferred, they had their choice here in the second half. Brendan Heatherman, number 7, and Kenny Gunn, 33, are the deep men standing at the 5-yard line. Kenny Gunn, the leading rusher in the game, 8 carries for 61 yards. Passing has been brilliant for Cascia. They lead on the passing stats, 4 of 6 for 43 yards. Mendoza catching all 4 tosses. And Okemah 0 for 3, and 2 of those have been intercepted. Okemah had 4 possessions in the first half, threw 2 interceptions and had to punt twice. Cascia had 4 possessions. They had to punt a couple of times as well, and then they scored a couple of touchdowns. So here we go to start the third period for Tom Stockton and the Cascia Hall Commandos, who are 24 minutes away from winning their first state championship in football after having won 4 state championships in tennis. Kenny Gunn at the 9, up the middle, 20, 25, 30, 32-yard line, and a nice return of 27 yards for the junior, who over the season has 1,675 yards coming into the game, averaging over 10 yards a carry.
We talked about the matchup between Kenny Gunn and Sean Cole, and I think it did materialize, maybe not as much as we thought on the part of Sean Cole, but Kenny Gunn, Don, as you indicated with the stats, had a great first half, and it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that same momentum here in the third period.
John Peters has had a fine first half as well, 3 of 5 passing and 2 carries for 9 yards. Brendan Heatherman, only 1 carry in the game. He runs straight up, but he runs effectively to the 42-yard line, and that's a gain of about 9 for the Cascia Hall junior. And they've got some juniors on this team. Peters, Gunn, and Heatherman all coming back next year.
Yeah, and you take a look at the big tackle in there, Tony Hutton. He's only a sophomore, so they've got some pretty key people that will be coming back next year here for Cascia Hall.
Half a yard short of the first down from the 42-yard line. Heatherman now in the game, 2 carries for 11 yards. Peters keeps, gets close to the 50-yard line, and that's another Cascia Hall first down, their 8th of the game. And it's very important, I would think, for Tom Stockton and his ball club, JV, to grind something out here to start the third period.
They really would like to get down and pick up a score here in the third period, but more importantly, they would like to really emphasize to Okemah that they're back in it in the third period, and it's going to be the same aggressive football that they played in the first half.
Steve Medina's not carried much in the game, 4 carries for 17 yards after averaging 10 carries per game. 1st and 10 from the 50, and there's the senior, one of the co-captains on the team. He's wrestled down at the Okemah 48-yard line for a couple. We'll make it 2nd down 8.
And next year, Steve Medina, number 48 there for Cascia Hall, will board a plane with us in June, Don, as we go down under to the land of Dundee to Australia. He'll be an Oklahoma Boomer on one of Dan Crookham's second Sooner Stampede tour of around the world, I guess you would say. But yeah, Dan's put together a great Australian trip, and Steve Medina will be there.
Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii. Not a bad vacation. Peters goes down at the 42-yard line for Okemah. Looks as though it might be 58. No, it is 44. The other linebacker, Brian Ord, bringing down at the 42 after a gain of 6, and will make it 3rd down and 2. One of the Cascia cheerleaders also going on that trip, Molly Lobeck, and that ought to be fun for the cheerleaders, trainers, some band members, and Okemah has a player that will go also.
Number 85, Trent Harrelson, defensive end out there right now, will also accompany Dan Crookham to Australia.
3rd and 2. Peters bobbles, in trouble, and he's going to be dropped short of the 1st down. He'll be about 2 yards shy of the 1st down. So that brings up an interesting situation. Now they mark it. Now they're going to mark it at the line of scrimmage, apparently. No, back at the 43. A loss of a yard. Nevertheless, it'll be 4th down and 3. And even though the Commandos have bobbled a couple of snaps today, they have no turnovers in this game. And that's been the difference. Okemah has 2. And Medina back to punt. 2 punts in this game for 29.5-yard average. And a nice snap, flag down. Here's the kick, end over end. Fair catch called for and taken at the 15-yard line by Sean Cole. Now let's see what the flag is all about.
Talking about the Australian trip, why Dan Crookham also announced at the press conference this past week in Tulsa that a second Sooner Stampede tour will take place when he gets home from Australia, as they go to London and Paris with more Okemah High School football players. And this is really something that's exploded, Don, around the world. They want to see Okemah High School football and the way we do it here in the Sooner State, and Dan Crookham and Stampede Enterprises is going to see that it happens.
I like it. Well, the penalty against Cascia Hall, only their 3rd penalty of the game for 15 yards. Okemah has been hit twice in penalties, one just a major penalty. So it's been a clean game between these two schools, who both have a lot of respect for each other. Tom Stockton talked very highly of his good friend Johnny Bohannon and the city, the community of Okemah, and Okemah's done the same for Cascia Hall. Nice snap, and Medina's punt is a nice one. Cole lets it hit at the 20, picks it up at the 15, and is dropped immediately by Mendoza at the 16-yard line. We're taking a break here. 3rd quarter action from Lewis Field. It's the 1989 2A championship game. Here come the Panthers, their first possession of the 3rd period. 8:50 on the clock, trailing 14-0. They've got to do something, and they give it to their main man, Sean Cole, number 14, and the senior who has 32 touchdowns this year and 1,769 yards coming into the game, advances the ball 4 yards to the 20.
And Steve Medina making the tackle there, going both ways, maybe the strongest player on either team. Even though he's not very tall, he still is one good little man, isn't he?
Yes, he is. 2nd and 6. Fullback gets the call. And Craig Hicks, who is the leading rusher for the Panthers, does not get to call. That is Graham, 35. I have a hard time distinguishing between 35 and 25, the fullbacks. Graham gets it up to the 23-yard line for 3 yards, and it's a 3rd down and 3, and this has been a situation for Okemah. When they've got 3rd and short, they've been able to convert. Here they have 3rd and 3. Misdirection play. Cole hit at the 25, falls forward, and we'll see where they spot the ball. He should be short of the 1st down by about a half a yard.
Met in there again by Steve Medina. Squats a 450 pounds, so that just indicates how strong he really is.
Oh, man. Sean Cole and the Panthers are indeed a half yard short of the 1st down. And I would think they won't chance anything here. Trent Harrelson will drop back to punt. There's the distance, what they needed for the 1st down. Harrelson's 2 punts in the 1st half, good for a 31.5-yard average. And Mark Mendoza looks into the sun. Right into the sun, over his shoulder, lets it hit, now catches it on the bounce at the 22-yard line. Nowhere to go except up the middle. Flag down as he goes down at the 24-yard line. The only thing I can think of, JV, would be a possible face mask.
I couldn't tell. There was only one other Cascia Hall player in that vicinity. Brock Allen was down there, and I don't know whether he had done something or not, but other than those two, I don't know what it could be.
Mendoza makes a nice return of about 7 yards after the 53-yard punt. Mendoza did a nice job there, JV, of not trying to catch it if the sun was bothering him. He let the ball bounce first so he didn't have to look into the sun.
Brian Orr is down on the field there from Okemah, and the official immediately began to motion for some help coming out. So many times that indicates that it could be a serious injury.
Penalty is against the Commandos, and that gives us a chance to once again remind you, high school hoops coming your way in a couple of weeks. December 22nd from the fairgrounds. It'll be Cascia Hall and David McBride and a lot of these football players like Kenny Gunn on that basketball squad against the Bristol Purple Pirates and their fine player Brent Scott. So join us for that game from the fairgrounds on Friday the 22nd. We'll replay it for you on the 23rd and 24th.
I believe he's going to be all right in there. Looking down at Brian Orr coming off the field, he unwrapped a knee bandage that he had on, and I think we'll see him coming back in.
Major penalty against the Commandos makes it first down at the 14-yard line, 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line for John Peters. And now, if anything, the Commandos need to punch it out a little bit here. Peters, second man through Hindeman, stood straight up, and look at him fight forward for a yard. Hit initially by 71 Ray Harrelson, and Heatherman shows some tenacity as he gets just a yard up to the 15-yard line, makes it 2nd down and 9. Tom Stockton told us, JV, a couple of days ago that if there was one thing he was scared to do in this game, it was have to punt from his own goal line because of the situation last week in which they had problems with the snap, although that's not been a problem today.
No, it really hasn't. They've executed the punt very well this afternoon.
2nd and long. Peters, quick drop, overthrows Mendoza at the 20-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 9.
Always looking for something that will spark your team, and a good defensive stand right here and gaining possession of the football on your side of the 50 could be a big inspiration as far as Okemah is concerned. You know, another point that I think you could make here, and you're looking at the schedule coming through the playoffs, playing Wynnewood last week, the defending 2-time state champion, had to take a lot out of Okemah. But on the other hand, a big ball game for Cascia Hall against Davis.
3rd and 9 from the 15-yard line for John Peters. Straight back, hands off to Gunn, stopped once, dances, and fights his way forward to the 16-yard line for just a gain of a yard, and that'll be 4th down. And Steve Medina will drop back to punt for the 4th time in the game.
There's one thing about Cascia Hall, you really can never anticipate what play they're going to call. In that situation, I think you would have really felt it would have been a pass play, but instead the draw in there for Gunn. And now the biggest punt of the day coming up for Cascia Hall.
Snap back in good shape from John Peters, the quarterback. Medina, nice punt. Sends Cole back to his 47-yard line. Tries to dance to the 50, does so. He's dangerous and gets stopped by Andy Brigham with a great open field tackle just inside the 45-yard line. Cole this year had a punt return of 90 yards, or a kickoff return of 90 yards, so he's dangerous in the open field. And Okemah with great field position, and their fans come to life.
And this is the best field position they've had on the initial possession of the ball game, I believe, Don.
47-yard punt, by the way, for Steve Medina. Not bad. 5:25 to go. 3rd quarter. Cole is open to the 35 to the 32-yard line. That's his best run of the game. It's a dozen and a 1st down for the Panthers.
And the Panthers, if they're going to get back in this ball game, need to score on this possession because this quarter is rapidly winding down, and they certainly don't want to go into the 4th quarter being 2 touchdowns behind. So if they can pick up one in the 3rd, why, then we'd have a nail-biter in the 4th.
1st and 10 from the 32. Sean Cole now 14 carries, 48 yards. This is Colby Hicks to the outside, and he's brought down quickly by Kenny Gunn.
And Kenny Gunn fighting off a block, just absolutely dove, kind of a desperation type dive through a blocker in order to bring it down. What an effort in there by Kenny Gunn, the junior.
Still a 4-yard gain for Colby Hicks and make it 2nd down and 6 from the Cascia 28-yard line.
The last time the Panthers got down in this end of the field, while Tom Stockton had a timeout, looked like he had a little meeting out there.
Cole again. They like to go this way, and look at that. 48 Medina with an outstanding play for the senior.
One of the notes about Steve Medina is that many feel that he's the heart and soul of the team, and I think plays like that is why people feel that way about Steve. Just a great play, a big defensive play for the Commandos.
Loss of 5 makes it 3rd and 11 from the Cascia 33-yard line. Mark that one down. Wow. Big play by one of the co-captains. 3rd and 11. Up the gut they go. Graham is loose to the 20-yard line. First down for the Okemah Panthers on 3rd and 11. And the big fullback who leads the club in rushing gets a first down from the 33 to the 18 for 15 yards.
One big play deserves another one. What a big one there for the Panthers, following the one by Medina and the Commandos. So it's cat and mouse.
That's a big play. 8th first down of the game. Colby Hicks gets the call, and he fights to the 15-yard line. And with 3:42 to go, Okemah is knocking on the door at the Cascia 15-yard line. And keep in mind, Cascia Hall this season has given up just 4 touchdowns in the first 3 quarters all season long in 14 games.
A true test of the Commando defense coming up here in the next 30 minutes.
Good point. 2nd and 7. Tony Lee barks out the signals. Graham, the fullback, with the call up the gut, inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
Randy Graham up at the 8-yard line.
First time the Okemah crowds really had something to cheer about, and they're getting in it. I think it's an inspiration out there to the Panther.
They needed to get to the 8. They got to the 8-yard line. They'll bring the chains out to see if it will be 1st and goal or 3rd and inches. First down.
First down.
Now comes the test. A great test here for the Commandos defensive unit in order to try to stop the Panthers and at least preserve the shutout going into the 4th period.
Randy Graham, 7 carries, 47 yards to lead Okemah. Sean Cole, 15 carries, 43 yards. 1st and goal from the Cascia 8. Tony Lee, full house backfield. Gets the snap. Hands to Colby Hicks, who is tripped by Jim Brown. Hicks dives to the 5-yard line. A gain of about 3, and he'll make it 2nd and goal with just under 3 minutes to go, 3rd period.
Great effort in there by Jim Brown, the big center, coming out of his defensive line there and really fought through a blocker in order to get his hands on the runner.
Look for Cole maybe to go outside. He's got 32 touchdowns on the year. 2nd and goal from the 5. They like that play, and Sean Cole likes it. He goes down at the 2-yard line. Joey Goodwin, 22 on the stop. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line.
Well, this is kind of the type of football game we were expecting. I don't think we were expecting a runaway on either side. And here we're going to line up and find one of the best 4th quarters that you could ever expect out of a 2A championship.
Graham up the middle maybe. 3rd and goal from the Cascia 2. Good look. Up the middle they do go. They do not make it. It was Cole, and he was stopped by Cato, the nose guard. It'll be 4th and goal from the 1-yard line.
Don't believe they're going to be able to make it right up the middle. They're going to have a little misdirection, maybe string it out a little bit here, because that Cascia line is really digging in the middle.
And the Panthers call a timeout, and wisely so, as you see the shadows. 4th and goal from the Cascia 1-yard line. Well, let's take a look at the odds to win this state championship. According to the Daily Oklahoman, they gave odds on each class to win the state championship, teams in the playoffs. And they gave Cascia 3-1, and they put Okemah in the field, and Okemah 75-1 to win the state championship as the playoffs started. And JV, you'd probably like a little of that action, wouldn't you?
Yes, I believe I would have. And, you know, this has been surprising. Of course, we've visited so much with Tom Stockton. The fact that he isn't surprised after the season progressed, and especially after the Adair game, that he is here, and he definitely isn't surprised that Okemah is here, because having played them once, even though they won the first contest, he knew they had a great ball club and were capable of winning it all, or at least being in the finals.
Well, here's the story. Cascia leading 14-0. Minute 52 to go in the 3rd. Okemah with their first threat of the game. 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. 2nd man through, touchdown. Sean Cole, I think it is. It is Sean Cole for his 33rd touchdown of the year, and the Panthers of Okemah are on the board.
And we're faced with a 4th quarter that's going to go scratching and clawing between the Commandos and the Panthers, Don. We're in for a good one.
Now the extra point kick coming up from Kevin Rich. Okemah has had trouble this season on extra point kicks, but Rich has hit his last 11 and is 23 of 29 on the year, and this kick is good. Big extra point kick for Okemah with 1:49 to go in the third period. And the Commandos are getting the ball back when we come back on TV3. So Rich added the extra point, and their other kicker, Brian Duke, will kick off. Big story in that 44-yard, 10-play drive for Okemah. Cole, you might remember, was dropped for a 5-yard loss to make it 3rd and 11 by Steve Medina. And then they went right up the middle. Randy Graham on 3rd and 11 went for 15 and a first down. And they scored a few plays later. Sean Cole from a yard out. 14-7 our score. Short kick taken by Medina at the 23. And his knee was down at the 23, so they'll bring it back to the 23. And the guys in the black shirts and the community of Okemah is fired up. What's this mean to a community, JV, to get into the state championship?
You know, this is one of the greatest things that can ever happen to a school. And it really, even the smaller communities in a 2A school like Okemah, it would be the same thing when you talk about Cascia Hall. It solidifies the school. It gives the identity to the kids, something that they really need and they strive for. And it's just the greatest thing that can happen to a school is a state championship.
First down, toss sweep to Kenny Gunn. Can't get the outside block. However, he fights forward to the 25-yard line for a couple. And leading the charge, it appeared to be 58. One of the players, Kevin Britt, one of the outstanding linebackers for Okemah, and his brother, Tommy Britt, plays at Central State, along with another former Okemah player, Wade Stanley. And Okemah also has a fine basketball player who played at Northern and transferred from ORU, Jimmy Klutz. So they've produced some athletes in Okemah. 2nd and 8 from the 25. Up the middle, Medina. He wrestles his way up to the 28-yard line for 3 yards, and it'll be 3rd down and 5. And a big play coming up.
This is a crucial series defensively for Okemah, offensively for Cascia Hall. They need to make a first down. They need to control the ball a little bit farther, and then if they do have to punt, they need to get it a little bit farther down the football field than what it's going to go if they punt out of this series without making a first down.
Okemah located just to the west of Henrietta off I-40 on the turnpike between Oklahoma City and Fort Smith, or the interstate. Peters on the option, keeps, slides through, and he might have enough for a first down. They'll mark it at the 34-yard line, and I think he's got the first down on a gutty play by the Cascia junior quarterback.
Kind of depends on the spot. From our angle right here, it looks like he has made it. Yes, he made it. First down, Cascia.
Well, mark that one down. That might be a play we go back to with 28 seconds left, and the clock is stopped.
Come back to the original matchup. A big play in there by John Peters. A must play almost for the Commandos.
That's their 9th first down of the game. Give to Medina. He's wide open to the 45, to midfield. And a touchdown saving tackle by 24 Colby Hicks. And there's Steve Medina, who averages almost 7 yards a carry and has over 2,000 yards in his career at Cascia.
What a player Steve Medina is, and a 3-point student, honor roll student at Cascia Hall. Not only a great athlete, a great student as well.
Big play, first down at the 49, and you're seeing why the Commandos are 14-0. When they get scored upon, they show the confidence and the determination, JV, to just take it to the other team.
And it seems like that one player after another comes through with big plays for the Cascia Hall Commandos. Peters on that real gutty run that you described was so important. And now Steve Medina gets them a little bit farther out, and it's just something. When you're 14-0, you have people who pick you up.
We're coming back for the final 12 minutes of this 2A championship game on Tulsa Cable, who urges you to be drug-free. 2A championship game. We start the 4th quarter. 2nd and 9 from the 40. Peters, who lulls you to sleep and now throws the screen incomplete. And on the pressure, 74, Kevin Folsom, who was hurt a couple of games ago and is back into action and applied the pressure on Peters. It's 3rd and 9.
Really applied a lot of pressure on him, but a pretty good call that time by Coach Tom Stockton. Had he been able to complete it, why, they had the people, they had the wall set up over there, but the rush in there by Folsom was just too much for Peters to handle.
Peters in the game as his last 3 passes have been incomplete. 3rd and 9 here from midfield. Just starting the 4th and final period, and the Commandos leading 14-7. Kenny Gunn hasn't touched the ball much. He does here, and he's tripped up at the 44-yard line, and he's going to be 3 yards shy of the first down marker. He had some room, but just got tripped up.
Well, that's the first time we've seen that triple option run here in the last quarter. I don't think they wasn't using the true triple option form as they were that time. And Kenny Gunn was just about a step from getting out in the open again.
Medina to punt. He has 3 punts in this game, 4 punts now. Tom Stockton looks on. Snap a little low, but Medina gets it away, and a booming kick. Should get into the end zone and does so. A 44-yard punt for Steve Medina. And 11:16 to go, and now the Cascia defense really has to start taking some names here if they're to win this championship. This is a big possession.
Well, we were talking about the big offense and defensive possession a second ago. It reverts back now with the offensive pressure on the Panthers as they need to get it out beyond that 20-yard line, punch out at least a couple of first 10s in order to try to gain a little better field position.
They're being led by Sean Cole and 35 Randy Graham. Up the middle they go, and the fullback across to the 20 to the 24-yard line. That is 35 Randy Graham. And you can see that Tony Lee is very nifty at handing that football off.
He's a wizard back there, and Chris Clark once again leading the way defensively for Cascia Hall, and they say that he loves to hunt birds as well as ball carriers.
Likes to fish and hunt. 2nd and 6 from the 24. They haven't passed much. Misdirection. Ball loose. Joey Goodwin recovers it, and the Commandos get the first fumble of the game and their 3rd turnover. And with 10:39 to go in the game, Cascia Hall could very well be on their way to the 2A title if they punch this one in from 21 yards out.
And credit Aaron Cato in there for causing that fumble. What a hard tackle, upending the ball carrier there, and really set it up for Cascia Hall maybe to put a little icing on their cake.
1st down. Cascia Hall at the Okemah 21.
The Okemah 21-yard line. The Cascia fans still on their feet. And Peters down under. Gets the snap. Draw play, Kenny Gunn. Look at him spin. Ooh, he loses the ball. And Okemah appears to have it right back. 71 Harrelson came up with it. Okemah indeed has the ball back. I think one of the officials is pointing that it is Okemah's ball. We'll see. We have a flag down on the play as well.
It's going to be Okemah's ball. I couldn't catch that bone-jarring tackle in there, but he really came in and planted one on Kenny Gunn.
Wow, boy, that is something. After it looked like Cascia could punch something in, at least run some time off the clock and keep Okemah pinned deep, Okemah gets the ball right back. Back-to-back turnovers from the 20-yard line with 10:16 to go. Sean Cole, he's a game breaker to the outside, and nothing much that time.
David Darby in there initially on the tackle and followed up in there by you-know-who, Chris Clark, coming in.
Colby Hicks gets the carry for no gain. Make it 2nd and 10 from the 20. The 2A championship game. Both schools trying to win their first state championship in football. Sean Cole to the outside, and look at 44. What a play for Jake Naylor, the defensive end. We haven't mentioned his name but a couple of times, and when we have, they've been big plays in the offensive backfield for Okemah. A loss of 5 there.
And that was a big defensive play in there by Naylor. He goes both ways, tight end, defensive end, and just a great ball player. Transferred in from Tulsa Hale, been a great asset to the Commandos.
Sean Cole in this game has really been pretty much held in check. About 43 yards. Tony Lee to pass. Throws deep. Incomplete. Looking for Trent Harrelson, 85. And Tony Lee running to his left and throwing with the right hand. That's got to be pretty tough. And looking into the sun as well. And the 3rd down pass incomplete. And there's a good example, JV, of why Cascia is 14-0. They turned the ball right back over, but their defense did not give Okemah anything.
It really did a good job that time. And you talk about looking in, Tony Lee looking into the sun. I think he was looking into the eyes also out there of Kenny Gunn, because he had the receiver covered like a blanket.
Kenny Gunn 70 yards rushing in the game. Sean Cole with just 43, and the punt hits at the 45, and Mendoza lets it roll out of bounds at the 47-yard line. So when we come back to Lewis Field, we'll have 8 minutes, 55 seconds left to decide the 2A championship game, and it's still up for grabs. 8:55 to go in the game. From the Okemah 48, Heatherman hits at the 45 and then falls forward for an extra yard. He took a lick at the 45-yard line.
You know, now Coach Stockton has to have in mind the clock. He wants to run every tick he can. He's got the ball in great field position, and if he can grind out 2 or 3 first downs, why, he's going to run it down to where they'll have to start gambling a little bit as far as Okemah is concerned to get back up and tie the game or go ahead.
2nd and 6 from the Okemah 44. Medina. Boy, he likes to wrap up that football, doesn't he? He gets 3 to the 41 to make it 3rd and 3.
He carries the ball like you want him to. There's no way a little lick or a handshake in there is going to jar the ball loose, because he grips it tight, runs low on the ground, and pretty secure.
One of the things we have talked about throughout the high school football and basketball seasons on Tulsa Cable is the drug programs and urging the kids to be drug-free. We'll talk about Cascia Hall, Montecasino, and their drug programs have been acclaimed throughout the state. Brendan Heatherman drives to the 30 and dives to the 27. A 14-yard gain and a first down for the Cascia Hall Commandos, who now watch the clock stop at 7:43 to go in the game.
Some fine blocking in there that time by Cascia Hall and executing the play.
Ball at the 28. A first down for the Commandos. In the game, they have 10 first downs. And they have it at the Okemah 28. Will Peters put it up or just run it? He's going to option and keeps. 25. Look at him try to strip the ball away from him. And he thinks he got face masked.
I believe one of the officials did also. I see a flag going.
Peters for about 5 to the 23. That stops the clock with 7:22. Montecasino, known for their highly acclaimed drug program.
Personal foul. Face mask.
The U.S. Department of Education honored Montecasino for that drug program. Their middle school. There's Johnny Bohannon trying to urge his defense on to stop Cascia Hall, but the Commandos now, with the face mask penalty, have the ball inside the 15-yard line. And although it's been pretty much a penalty-free game, there have been 2 personal foul penalties against Okemah, and it's hurt them both times.
One thing you have to have respect for in Coach Tom Stockton and the Commandos, when it looks like that they just couldn't get something going, suddenly they come back and they put it all together each time.
1st and 10 from the 12-yard line for the Panthers. Toss sweep. Kenny Gunn to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown. Cascia Hall, and Kenny Gunn with his 3rd score of the game. And he got some great outside blocking from his teammates. And the Commandos now are just 7 minutes, 8 seconds away from the 2A state championship. Kenny Gunn in the game now, 12 carries, 82 yards. Mendoza's PAT is perfect. And we're coming back for the final 7 minutes and 8 seconds of the 2A championship game from Lewis Field as high school football continues on Tulsa Cable. Welcome back to Lewis Field in Stillwater. Don King along with J.V. Haney. Cascia Hall's enrollment around 200. They're one of the larger 2A schools in the state. And Okemah with an enrollment even larger at 275. Cascia Hall's defense outstanding this season. 8 shutouts in 14 games. And in one stretch, they had 5 shutouts in a row. And in 30 quarters, gave up just 1 touchdown. That's 1 touchdown in 30 quarters. That's over 7 games. Here's the squib kick. Taken. Oh, he gets over his head. And Sean Cole has to go inside the 10 to get it. And look who's there. A lot of red, a lot of white shirts. 22 Goodwin is there, one of them. And the Cascia job on their special teams has been outstanding on those squib kicks.
Yeah, that was great coverage down there, and certainly puts the Panthers in a rather difficult position with their back to the wall there and being 2 touchdowns behind. Why, now they're going to have to put the ball up and challenge that very good and very quick secondary of Cascia Hall.
Well, I'm producing Hurricane Connection with Dave Rader. He got a lot of calls this year. Why do you squib kick? Why don't you just kick it away? Well, there's a good reason on why you squib kick him. And look at Sean, or that is 24, Colby Hicks. And he goes from the 8-yard line out to the 14, and it's 2nd and 4 for the Panthers.
And I'm sure Cascia Hall is quite content to give up a few yards on the ground and just keep that clock running because only 6:30 remaining.
Midway point of the 4th quarter. Cascia has led throughout this game and leads 21-7 after leading 7-0 after 1, 14-0 at half. Nothing doing that time either. Randy Graham, or is it 25? Craig Hicks gets tattooed at the 24, or excuse me, at the 14-yard line for no gain and makes it 3rd and 4. And Okemah has not thrown a pass completion in this game.
Kenny Gunn's run really took the life out of the Okemah crowd.
It really did. Sean Cole, 15, 20-yard line, and an outstanding open field tackle by one of the linebackers, Steve Medina. Gain of 6. It's enough for a first down for Okemah.
Again, if Cascia Hall can just contain them to 3, 4, 5 yards, 2 or 3 first downs won't make that much difference because time will expire unless they can hit the big play. One of Tom Stockton's great concerns in the ball game, not let them have the real big long gainer, the big play.
Cascia has done everything they needed to do to win the game. Flag down, Cole, or rather Craig Hicks down at the 22-yard line for a pair. Stops the clock with 5:35.
You know, that is interesting to show you just how well the teams prepared and the coaching staffs, because some of the things that Cascia Hall said they had to do, and this is Tom Stockton one, he said we had to contain Cole. They've done that. They have to gang tackle. They've done that. They have to stop the big pass play. They've done that thus far. He said bend but not break. I think they've done that. And then last but not least, he said defensively, in order to win a state championship, we have to play as physical as they do. And this has been a very physical game, but yet a very clean game.
They've done everything they've needed to do, haven't they?
They really have.
It's incredible. And we'll talk about what they needed to do on offense to win the 2A title. This is Randy Graham, who runs to the outside. And he stood up at the 15-yard line by Naylor. Gets help from Heatherman. And they'll give him a progress of about a foot. Makes it 2nd down and 15 still.
You can take a look at the offense, is what Tom Stockton said. If we win the state championship, we have to pass to overcome the great play of their 2 linebackers, Britt and Orr, and I think they passed just enough to keep them loose. They've got to mix inside and outside play. They've done that, and they also have to use some misdirection.
2nd and 15. Tony Lee hasn't completed a pass in the game, has thrown 2 interceptions, runs left, and dropped at the 20, tripped up by Aaron Cato, number 50. The fine nose guard and one of the co-captains for this Cascia Hall team.
One thing, Don, that Coach Stockton wanted to do that he hasn't done as much as maybe he wanted to, he felt he had to control the ball offensively like they did against Davis. Well, that hasn't been done, but yet he's controlling it now. Even though he's in defense, he's controlling it the way he wanted to.
They controlled it when they needed to, didn't he?
Yes, they sure did.
3rd and 9 from the 21-yard line for the Panthers. We have 10 first downs on the game, and Lee unloads, caught by Harrelson, first down at the 40, up to the 43-yard line. And that's an Okemah first down and stops the clock at 4:04 to go.
And the defensive secondary was playing a lot looser that time than they had been prior in the game, but they just can't afford to have a big play against them. A 15-20-yard pass is not going to hurt them as long as they can keep that clock running. They can give up those and not be hurt too bad.
Biggest play of the game for Okemah, good for 23 yards, moves it up to the 44-yard line. Field position also has been at an advantage for Cascia Hall early in the game. Lee scrambles to midfield. Nice move there to the 45, and then dropped at the 46-yard line by Kenny Gunn. And Tony Lee scrambles his way to another Okemah first down.
And a good open field tackle in there by Kenny Gunn, another of the Cascia Hall Commando players going both ways, as do they also on the Okemah Panthers. Both teams have about 7 or 8 men that go both ways.
Joey Goodwin comes out of the game, number 22 for the Commandos. Apparently a twisted ankle, it appears. And we'll see who comes in for him. Billy Allred, 51, comes in at defensive end. Allred and Naylor are the defensive ends. Brown and Hutton at defensive tackles. Cato at nose guard. The linebackers are Clark and Medina. On first down from the Cascia 45. Lee rifles it over the middle, and it is dropped. It appeared it might have been knocked away by Chris Clark.
Good defense there by Chris Clark. I think he did, Don. I think the ball had almost been caught in there, looked like by Trent Harrelson, but he was just in there real quick and jarred the ball loose.
Well, after this game, JB and I will announce our player of the game for Cascia Hall. Boy, I'm not sure we're not going to have a couple of 3rd and 10 from the 45, or 2nd and 10, excuse me, from the 45-yard line for Okemah. They need a touchdown. They need it quickly. They're not going to get it that way as Graham drives down to the 44-yard line for just a yard, and the clock continues to run with 3:13. Okemah has 2 timeouts left in this game as we hit the 3-minute 5-second mark.
And Aaron Cato plays kind of silently in there. Then the offensive line and defensive nose guard stood him up, made a great tackle.
3rd and 9 from the Cascia 44-yard line. Okemah needs a touch, and they need it quickly. And Tony Lee throws in a crowd, incomplete. And that stops the clock at 2:45. Well, Coach, I know that even though Cascia made it to the quarterfinals last year and lost some fine players from that squad, like Lamar Guillory, All-State running back Larry Hood, and then you think back to the kids that played for Cascia when they were 1-29, you have to think that they have to be part of this championship. If Cascia can hold off for 2 minutes 45 seconds, you have to think that they are very much a part of this state title as well.
And I'm sure that Coach Tom Stockton will be the first to give you that comment that all of the kids in this program from the time he got there have been a part of the foundation of this state championship team.
4th and 9 for Okemah. Lee unloads, nobody there, incomplete. And Cascia Hall now has the football with 2:39 to go. And it indeed does look like Cascia Hall will go on and not only cap the 2A title, but doing it by being undefeated through 15 games.
And you just have to go down the line, and Heatherman coming back, Darby coming back, Mendoza coming back, Gunn coming back, Naylor coming back. They've got the nucleus of a fine football team coming back next year. Tony Hutton, only a sophomore.
Some good offensive linemen. Brock Allen and Jimmy Brown will be back as well. Yeah, they do. They have some kind of nucleus for next year. 1st and 10 from the 44 with 2:39 to go. And the Cascia fans are still on their feet. They might want to sit down after that one. And Heatherman loses it. And Okemah has it at the 25-yard line. Oh, egads. 25 covers it. Craig Hicks. And just like that, Okemah's back in the ball game with 2:32 to go.
What a big turnover that was, and kind of a play that, again, that's one thing about Cascia Hall. You don't know what they're going to run. About the time you think they're going to do one thing, they do another. I would not have expected that pitch out with the clock as it was with 2:32 remaining. Big play in there for Okemah.
Sean Cole looks for an opening, and look at that. Joey Goodwin, who was hurt a few plays earlier, comes in and makes an outstanding play and drops Cole after he can only make a 1-yard run.
It really looks like it's too little too late for the Panthers, but you can't ever say it's over till that final horn goes off. But with 2:05 and the clock running, they've got a lot of catching up to do.
I've never seen a defense, JV, like Cascia Hall's, that they never droop their shoulders, do they? When they have things go against them like they have a couple of times today, they've been able to make the big play, and there's another reason why. Kenny Gunn knocks that one away as he had that one in his mitts and could not hold it, and it's 3rd and 9.
Well, sometimes when you have players going both ways, you know, they don't have anyone else to blame. I mean, if you fumble on offense, you have to turn around and play defense. Well, you can't blame the offense for doing it. So they just cinch it up when things don't go well on one side of the football and jump back on the other side and play well there.
We mentioned the fine academics instilled by both coaches, Bohannon at Okemah and Stockton at Cascia Hall. Okemah came in 4th with over a 3-point grade average from their football squad this year in Class 2A. And that pass incomplete, and we have a flag down as the pass intended for Cole. Well, Sean Cole, I would think his football playing career is not over. Sean is not the biggest running back in the state, 5'10", 180 pounds, but big enough, I would think, to play small college somewhere. And anytime you can score 32 touchdowns and rush for over 1,700 yards, you're not doing too poorly. The pass will stand. It'll be 4th down.
And the thing about trying to judge football players, like all athletes, their size may not be as big as what you want, but they never have the weight of the heart.
Yep, good point. Well, Cascia Hall, a minute 45 away, becoming the 2nd private school in state history to win a state football championship. The other being Bishop Kelly from Tulsa, doing so in 81. Here's a pass, overthrown, intercepted in the end zone by Mendoza. And that one will ice it.
And was that a great catch by Mendoza? One that you would expect a receiver that he is to make as a defensive back. Great jumping, leaping interception catch in the end zone.
And once again, Cascia Hall's defense has just been outstanding. Awesome is about the only adjective I can think of. When you think that the last 2 years, Coach, they've outscored their opponents 838 to 150, kind of tells you something about their program.
And only 2 teams this year scored more than 1 touchdown in the same game. That was Broken Arrow Junior Varsity and Berry Hill.
Peters appears to keep the ball. That'll make it 2nd down as we hit the 1 minute 30-second mark. And after this game, JV will sneak down to the field and try and talk things over with the winning head coach, Tom Stockton. And our players of the game, it's going to be tough. Boy, Kenny Gunn has had an outstanding day, 3 touchdowns, approximately 80 yards in rushing, 2 interceptions. John Peters has played well. Mendoza has caught 4 passes, has had an interception to knock out the Okemah Panthers with a minute and a half left. Here's Kenny Gunn. And he dances close to the 30-yard line, which he needed to get to for a 1st down. It'll be just short, make it 3rd down and probably about a foot. You think of Chris Clark, he's had to be at least on 15 tackles. Knocked away a pass a few moments ago. I don't see any other way around it, JV. We're going to have an offensive and defensive player of the game.
Oh, there's been some outstanding play today by Cascia Hall, and they're beginning to start to celebrate on the far side.
As well they should. Peters goes down to a knee, and that will be it. With 15 seconds left, the guys in the white shirts and the white hats are indeed 8 seconds away now from celebrating going undefeated through 15 games. And the Cascia Hall Commandos are the 1989 2A state champions.
Tom Stockton, the victorious head coach of the Cascia Hall Commandos, 2A state champions. Tom, everyone asks, but everyone wants to know, how do you feel?
You just feel great. You know, I feel better tomorrow. You know, you're just numb right now. It's all over with, and you're just ecstatic about the kids. I'm happiest for our community, JV. They've really worked hard and stayed behind these kids a couple years ago when things weren't going so well, and now they are, and they deserve this as much as we do.
One thing that you said before the ball game, Tom, you said that the defense could bend but not break, and I thought they did an excellent job throughout the afternoon.
They've done that all year long. You know, we're not very big. We have a couple of kids over 200, but we run extremely well to the ball, and Joey Medina and Benny Morrow and Eric Nelson do a great job of getting the defensive ready to play, and we knew what they were going to do, and sometimes we couldn't stop it, and sometimes we did.
You were concerned maybe of the long pass, but your defensive secondary played like they played the entire year. They just played it real tough and real close.
Yeah, again, Coach Medina does a great job getting them ready in the secondary, and almost everything they threw today, we were either there or we picked it off. So, you know, that was the difference in the ball game. They couldn't throw it, so when they had to drive a long ways, they had to do it in perfect drives.
And Kenny Gunn kind of played like you begin to expect him to play. Once he breaks past that line of scrimmage, watch out. He's going to pay dirt.
That's right. Kenny is, you know, that's 32 or 33 touchdowns for the year, so that's nothing unusual for Kenny. And the offensive line did a good job today. Okemah has a great defense, and we hit them when we had to and passed when we had to, and inside and outside, and we just did what we had to do.
Tom, again, congratulations not only to you, but to the coaching staff, the entire Cascia Hall community, the squad. A tremendous job and just a tremendous plus for football in the city of Tulsa.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, JV.
Tom Stockton, the head coach of the Cascia Hall Commandos, victorious, the Class 2A state champion.
A lot of heroes for the third-ranked, undefeated Cascia Hall Commandos through 15 games. Their closest games this season were both decided by 14 points, and both to the Okemah Panthers, winning on the third week of the season. At home, they beat Okemah 14-0, and they did so today, winning the 2A final 21-7. Kenny Gunn scoring the game's first touchdown from 29 yards out, scoring the second touchdown just before halftime, and scoring a touchdown in the fourth quarter to apparently wrap it up with 7:08 to go to make it 21-7, and that's where we stand now as the Cascia Hall Commandos are getting presented with the 2A trophy from H.J. Green, the executive secretary of the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association. And once again, congratulations to the entire school, Cascia Hall, their superintendent, Father David Breck, their principal, Father William Hamill, their athletic director, Dick LeMay, their head coach there, Tom Stockton, and all their assistants and players as well. It's been a great 15 games for the Cascia Hall Commandos, who again beat Okemah by the final score of 21-7. Our players of the game, it was very difficult, but we have to go with Kenny Gunn, our offensive player of the game. There are his totals to go with the 3 touchdowns and had 2 interceptions on defense. And on defense, it was linebacker Chris Clark. Outstanding game for one of the co-captains for the Commandos. 3-point student, 5'10", 160-pound senior. There's the trophy for the Commandos. 1989 2A state champions. Tulsa Cable pleased to announce our high school players of the game will each receive a plaque for their possession. The school will receive a larger plaque for their trophy cases, courtesy of All-American Trophy, and a $100 check given to Cascia Hall from Tulsa Cable. So for JV Haney and Jack Buns, Don King hoping you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you on Tulsa Cable's TV3, who again urges you to be drug-free. This 1989 2A championship game for Cascia Hall has been brought to you by the Williams Companies, by Tulsa Cable Television, by Eastern Oklahoma Orthopedic Center, by Citgo Petroleum, and by Arby's Roast Beef Restaurants. And reminding you, stay tuned for more high school sports coming up in 2 weeks. High school basketball as the Cascia Hall Commandos take on the Bristow Pirates on Tulsa Cable Sports.